It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, Roff Smith. Hi, Rolf. How are you?
Not bad. How are you doing?
Doing fine, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. It's nice to have you here.
It's a pleasure.
So this is National Geographic's, and you've got a book called 100 Bike Rides of a Lifetime, The World's Ultimate Cycling Experience. Do you work for National Geographic, freelance?
Yes, I've been freelancing a long-time contributor to them, regular, for about 27 years now. I've covered a wide variety of topics, archaeology, wildlife, culture, history, but my very first story for them was a 3-part series on a 10,000-mile bicycle journey I made around Australia, 96 and 97. And that's how my time with National Geographic began. Began with a bicycle, and since then I've done quite a few other bicycle treks, not for National Geographic, but for myself. London to Istanbul and around Zanzibar and the Swahili coast and all over Britain, and I even did a little turn around the South Pole once on an assignment for National Geographic. I was at the South Pole doing a science story, but I got hold of a mountain bike and managed to ride around the pole itself. So I crossed every single line of longitude and could conceivably say I've ridden around the world in 10 seconds.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah.
So this
Guinness
book...
Book of World Records didn't go for it, though.
They didn't? Why?
Well, I think they want you to suffer a little bit more than a 10-second ride around a pole and then going in the base for milk and cookies afterwards. I think a little more suffering.
Even just getting to the South Pole is a suffering experience, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty brisk day when I was out. It was about minus 40 degrees, so not a usual cycling day.
So this book is a sort of a compilation of all of these various bike rides that you have done?
No. It's a compilation of great rides around the world for everybody.
Okay, so you haven't actually done these 100 bike rides then?
Not all 100, but I've done a fair few of them. But some, I'm not a mountain biker, for example, and I have mountain bike rides in there. But for those, I went and talked to mountain bikers that I know who have done them. And, some of those, there's rides there, I hope, for everybody, whether they're mountain bikers or gravel bikers or road bikers, whether they want to go out on long expeditions or whether they want to go for a day ride with their families. People who just regular people, not hardened cyclists. So I'm hoping that, anyone who picks this book up will find a ride in there that will suit them. And I've done, many of them. I've done many other rides that I didn't put in there, like my 10,000-mile ride around Australia. I mean, no one's going to really want to do that unless you're balmy or something. But, so there are rides in there down 6 continents, and just a nice variety, I'm hoping. That was the intention. So
there's short rides and longer rides in there, and you can kind of pick which one would suit you to do, yeah?
Yeah, and they're scattered all over the world. There's quite a few in North America. There's quite a few in Britain as well, and Europe. I mean, I do have rides in Africa and Asia, Australia, and the South Pacific. And one of my favorite rides was one I did around the island of Ovalau in Fiji. Lovely little ride, about 30 miles or so to make this loop around this really quite pretty, unspoiled Fijian island. That's in there. I mean, you can rent a bike there and do it. I mean, you've got to get to the island first, of course. It's, a little off the beaten path. But beautiful ride if you go out that way. So, again, there's a mixture. I mean, there's a lot of nice rides in South America in there as well, Central America.
Speaking of South America, I did just recently watch somebody do a bike ride in Bolivia on something they called the Death Road. Do you know about that one?
That's in there. That's in the book.
Oh, it is? Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, It was famous, as known as the Death Highway. The actual road now is closed. They made a much safer road across the same thing with tunnels and things like that. But the original Death Road is now basically a really high octane, high adrenaline mountain bike descent. So you can do the road now, but you're not going to meet a truck coming up the other way. So the death part has been kind of taken out of it, but there's still some. It's not a road if you don't like heights, you really don't want to do that one, because there's exposed cliffs and huge falls, and potential falls, but it's quite an exhilarating.
Well, it did look like sort of a tourist thing, because the video that I saw, the guy starts out in a van with 5 other people and bikes on the top of the van, and the van takes them to the top, and then they let them go down, and they meet them at the other end, right? Yes. Yeah.
And the van is also there if people get a little freaked out. You can get a ride down, which does happen. But it's not, the death road, so to speak, is not, there's no traffic on it now, which is what was really the dangerous part. So now it's quite just an exhilarating descent, and there's plenty of outfitters there that will kit you out with the necessary gear to do it. Another, when you mentioned Bolivia, I thought at first you might be wanting to talk about the big salt pans in Bolivia. Those huge, vast white salt pans as people also cycle across, and it's a kind of surreal landscape that, again, there's some lovely rides all over the world that are worth the trouble to get there.
Do you have a particular favorite one that you've done?
Yeah, there's a couple in the book. One is the Danube, following the Danube from Passau in Germany to Vienna, about 200 miles. Absolutely gorgeous. You're just riding through this. It's like a cycling idyll. There's this majestic river you're following. The path is traffic free almost the whole way. The villages and towns, really picturesque, very pretty, Middle European villages along this river. They're all bicycle friendly. There's castles in the hillsides and fabulous monasteries, terraced vineyards. It's really gorgeous and very easy. It's not at all hard. It's you're following a river, so it's flat basically, and traffic free. It's a delight. The other one that's probably one of my another favorite is one that crosses the whole breadth of Wales. It's also in the book. You start at Chepstow, you go to Holyhead, and you literally, aside from going over 3 mountain passes, you literally go through the landscape for which the word picturesque was coined back in the late 18th century. This is where the romantic landscape painters came to do their, really rich, romanticized landscapes, the J.M.W. Turners and stuff. And, it's just absolutely gorgeous part of the world. And you can just cycle through it on these small lanes. You go up and over Gospel Pass in the Brecon Beacons, and it's a big climb to get up there, but absolutely worth every crank of the pedals for the view off the escarpment on top. And so you go over three Welsh mountain ranges, past some fabulous castles, huge, massive 13th century castles built by Edward I. And then, of course, you cross one of the earliest suspension bridges to the Isle of Anglesey, and when you go past the longest town name, one of the longest town names in the world. I think there's a longer one in New Zealand, but a name I can't pronounce it. But it's 88 letters long, and it's in Welsh.
Oh my God!
And it's worth stopping at the train station because it's all spelled out on the train station platform. A lot of people stop there just to get a picture of themselves standing by the sign. It's good fun.
88 letters, that's not a name, that's a sentence.
Yeah, a long sentence. And, you can get the locals to pronounce it for you. It's
oh my goodness.
It's really something. Wales is just a stunning place to ride.
What do you think the biggest hazard is for bikers? Is it 18-wheel trucks?
No, most of the truck drivers are professional drivers. They're not so bad. When I was going around Australia, I would, because we have these huge trucks called road trains, and people in the cities were telling me, oh, they're very dangerous. Never had a problem with them. The biggest thing that scared me on that trip was people who had just retired, bought with their superannuation funds, bought a trailer and a four-wheel drive, and were touring around Australia. They've never towed anything in their lives, and so they had these huge wide wing mirrors, which they really weren't aware where they were going, and these trailers that would be skidding around behind them. They were the scarier parts. But there's traffic is certainly the scary part of cycling. Increasingly, there seems to be a lot of movement towards gravel riding, where you're off the road, and I've always been a road cyclist, but I can start to see the appeal of not being on the road and not sharing it with cars.
Are you supposed to ride with the traffic or against the traffic?
With, yeah. Okay. You're a vehicle on the road. I mean, that's certainly the law here in Britain. I would assume it would be in the States, too. A bicycle is a vehicle, and so you have to go with the flow of traffic. So, yeah, and ideally you should claim your spot on the road. You don't want to be riding teetering on the edge. That's a recipe for disaster. So you need to position yourself properly in the road, and you are a legal vehicle. So
okay, we've got just a couple of minutes, and I wanted to touch on one thing here that I see on your bio. It says all about e-bikes. Now, I don't really know what an e-bike is. Is this like an electric motorcycle?
It's they vary. I mean, I would think it was an e-bike. I don't use them myself. I'm a straight old-fashioned cyclist with an old school tours. They provide a little bit of electrical motor assist for like when you're going up hills. So if you're new at cycling or whatever, or you don't feel like going up the hills, you can get a bit of a boost to get you up and over the hill without having a big strain or having to get off and push the bike.
Oh, I see. But it's still a pedal bike.
Yeah. You pedal, but then you can get the electric boost for when you need to.
It's like a power assist. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But then there are other bikes. I mean, there seems to be just a wide range of these things, and I'm not I don't ride them myself, so I'm not much of an expert on them, but I see them, and I think they're a good thing if they get people out riding.
Are you planning on doing another bike trip in the near future?
My new adventure is I live on a narrowboat, and I'm exploring the canals in Britain. A 3,000-mile network of canals.
Is that like a houseboat?
Yeah, a bit like that, but an English narrowboat is very specific to England. They're quite a unique craft. They're very, as the name implies, they're narrow. They're less than 7 feet wide, and mine's 58 feet long. So they're long and very, very skinny.
Oh. But you have you live on it, so that you have a bed and a kitchen and a bathroom on it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh. They're very nice.
Okay.
But it's like it's a very tiny house, very tiny. Everything has to be just so.
Well, I'm imagining then your bed would go the length of the boat, not the breadth of the boat.
Yes, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
Then you have the your galley and bathroom and the saloon area where you have your settee and the bookshelves and table.
How long have you been living on that?
Not long. I've just started, and I've got thousands of miles of network. You can travel on the network. Just moor up, and you can moor wherever you like for free, and you can stay for up to 2 weeks. And then you have to move on. And there's the towpaths you can ride on. It's a great way of exploring the countryside. Slower than bicycles, actually.
Well, it sounds interesting.
Going slower and slower.
Do you have a permanent address?
Not really.
Okay. All right. So you're just a free spirit with the thing, then.
Pretty much,
basically.
yeah.
Right.
And so, it's again a bit like cycling. The boats are. It's like stepping into a older, slower, gentler time, which is it's kind of escapist, I suppose.
Well, I think we can use it.
As with the bicycle.
Yeah, we could use it at this time with all the craziness in the world. Ralph, we've got to wind this down. Thank you so much for coming on. The book is called 100 Bike Rides of a Lifetime, The World's Ultimate cycling experiences. My guest is Roff Smith. Do you have a website you want to give out?
I do. It's theartoftheride.com, and my Instagram page, which has a lot of cycling photography on it, is my name, Roff Smith, at Instagram. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. This was interesting, and best of luck with your long boat. Narrowboat,
yes. Thank you very much.
Okay. Take care, Rolf. Bye-bye.
Take care now. Bye-bye.